Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Stephanie Bree, and today I'm talking about Terminator 3. Rise of the Machines. So the question is, why is Terminator 3 the best in the franchise? So, I have not seen Salvation. Is it Salvation? No, I've seen Salvation. I have not seen Genesis, and I have not seen the one that came after Genesis. So this video is based on the first 4 Terminator films. So briefly, let's touch upon the 4 films, and I'll talk about why I haven't seen the sequel, or the 2 other ones. The Terminator came out in 1984, and it was a big hit, and it had a big impact on the culture, obviously. But The Terminator is more or less a suspense thriller than an action movie. It's almost a horror movie by some accounts. Terminator 2 is a straight up action movie with a little bit of suspense thriller thrown in there. Less horror, more action. Terminator 3 is a pure action comedy. It's pure action all the way. So is Salvation. But Salvation kind of sucks, so we'll brush that aside for a second. Terminator 3 for me is the culmination of the Terminator franchise. It's finally we're getting to see the beginnings of the war. To me, this is the equivalent of Episode 1, Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, which is my favorite Star Wars movie, by the way. So that might help set the stage a little bit. What I like about this movie, and there's a couple things I don't like about it, so I will talk about them. What I like about this movie is, one, it's unique. They have a female Terminator, which is cool. I'm transgender, I'm a woman, and I love rooting for action stars that are women. It does show us how Skynet took over the world and launched its war against humanity, so we get to see the beginnings of that, which I liked. This John Connor, although not as, adorable as the previous John Connor, Edward Furlong, is still a pretty good John Connor. He plays the character well. And of course, his love interest in the film is also a pretty good actress in her own right, Claire Danes. She's done other things. She stole my heart when she did My So-Called Life, which I'll do a video on one of these days. And she's been in other things. And, of course, Arnold comes back as the T-800 again. This time again to save John Connor from the TX. And again, this one doesn't have a ton of kills. None of them do. But it has a body count. But it's like, a lot of it's off camera. Because it is an action movie. A lot of it's just quick kills. And I do think that the TX is legitimately scarier than the T-1000. Because not only can the TX change its shape, it can also control other machines. Which gives it a whole arsenal of robots and killer machines. A la Maximum Overdrive to help it out. The other thing I like about this movie is it's a staple. It's a time capsule. It shows us what life was like in that time period in the early 2000s. Before the internet took over the world, but the internet was already a big thing, and it was a daily part of our lives. So losing the internet in this movie was a big deal to people. It also has my favorite Terminator joke, where he goes into a gay bar and puts on a gay guy, a stripper's clothes. Not necessarily a drag queen, I will say a stripper's clothes. And walks out of there looking like a drag queen himself. Which is pretty fucking cool. And I like how he picks up the talk to the hand bit. That was pretty funny for me. This movie has the best use of humor in the Terminator franchise, I believe. Other movies had hints of humor, but they either worked in some cases or just kind of took you out of the movie in other cases. This one does it well, blends it really well. And it has an interesting story. You have John Connor, who is convinced he stopped the Terminator, the end of the world, from happening, and he's convinced he can stop it again. He's so convinced he's willing to put him and his girl's lives in danger to stop something that is, as the franchise has continuously told us, inevitable. I understand this movie gets a lot of hate, and I know part of that is because James Cameron had no involvement in it. James Cameron can suck my girl dick. I'm not a fan of him as a filmmaker. He's done a couple films I like, but by and large, most of the movies I hate are James Cameron films. Titanic being my most hated film of all time. Who made it? Guess who? James motherfucking Cameron. Terminator 3 also has the best sci-fi elements of all the franchise, excuse me. And really cool fucking robot scenes. Really, I love robots, and this is like got the coolest fucking robots in it. Now, in the aftermath of the success of this movie, because it was a success, they did Terminator Salvation, which I'm going to briefly touch upon. I don't like Terminator Salvation for a couple of reasons. One, it's fucking boring. And two, in the previous films, they told us that the humans never went out during the day because the machines would get them. They only went out at night. And they showed us a world where the humans were like hiding from the machines. Terminator Salvation, we see them, armies going up against the robots in broad fucking daylight. I do not like it when a movie shits on the previous lore. And this movie, Terminator Salvation, shat on the previous lore. Whereas Rise of the Machines was very respectful to the previous lore. And I like how this movie basically capstones the trilogy, if you want to make it a trilogy. And here's my cat saying hi. Say hi, buddy. Everyone say hi to Buddy. Buddy, say hi to the camera. Hello, I'm Buddy. And it's a damn good movie. I love this movie. To me, it's my favorite Terminator of all. It's, I think, the best Terminator of all, and it's a great fucking movie, and I do not understand the hate this movie gets. So, I don't know. Argue with me in the comments if you want. Stay cool.